like, why do I feel like I'm leaving early? I'm like looking at my watch. I'm like, what's going on? Like, what happened? Then I forget, and like, no, it's time change.
Yeah.
It's such a different feel.
No, yeah, it's crazy because obviously here, we're getting sun for a little bit longer, which is, beyond all of our wildest fantasies to some degree. So, yeah, not surprised by that feeling at all. But we've got a nice matchup popping. Someone that we have not been able to watch on stream for a while. Our good friend Titankiller, Big Phil on the board tonight.
Yeah, and it looks like a very familiar scene here too with the Pokemon Stadium start. And we're seeing Ness and Samus here from Phil. And this is going to be a matchup we're going to be seeing a lot of, like depending on how we see the pace go, it could go one of two ways. It's going to either be a really decent projectile war with lots of, like, either slow, like, pace play, or we're going to be seeing a bit of what we're seeing right now where both players are just going right at it straight from the get-go. And Phil racking up this damage with these ledge-guarded charge shots. But now we're seeing Swag with his own, that PK flash, I think it is. That was wild. Some really good coverage. Let's see. Ooh. That was really smart use of that. That PK, what is it? The shield, I guess. It can suck up any sort of explosive
projectiles,
yeah, and then it heals you too. So it's a really good tool. And in this game, and it used to work like this in other games, but in this game it will also deal a bit of hit stun to you and make it it's really useful for like comboing or just like getting somebody's pacing a bit messed up. And so we're seeing Swag use a great deal. And that was a input possibly with the wrong way of that down smash, but it worked out. And Phil finally getting him off.
I was gonna say, what can Phil do with him using that absorption off stage? Like, I could imagine maybe if he made him do it really far away, but then I mean, Ness just has really great recovery with that type with PK Thunder, right?
Yeah, like I think that it's kind of just one of those weird patches where you just gotta have to adjust what you're doing on stage. And I think that like that whole first stock for both of them, we did see Phil get away with a lot of that edge guarding using the projectiles. But as soon as it got towards the end of that first stock, we saw Swagflu kind of really adjust and decide, well, if you're gonna be doing that, I'm gonna be using mine. And he heals up, and he's been starting to use the bat as well to kind of like reflect the projectiles. So I think what Phil needs to do now is realize, all right, I can't be doing this stuff at ledge because Swag is going to be fighting these projectiles by healing himself, and it's just going to be an upward battle for me. So what he should be doing is being a bit more aggressive if he wants to get that damage off stage with like a forward aerial, since Samus does have a really decent like forward air. It does that multi-hit, and none of those can be absorbed by Ness.
Gotcha.
It just all depends on if he's able to read where Swag will be. But Swag there, getting that back throw and finishing off that second stock. So I still think it's going to be a hard battle, so depending on if we can see Phil take this stock off pretty early, I think that Phil definitely needs to start thinking about the second game. But so far he's not taking too much damage yet. He's starting to rank up, doesn't get the grab though. And there it is again. Like, it's so hard, especially with the fully charged shot. Like, that's 40% normally you'd be dealing, and I believe it takes about the same and gives it back to Swag. So he's healing up like almost a whole, like that's like half of a kill percent, you know? Like for some characters, they die at 80. Like two shard shots is all it takes to get there. So if you're getting hit with 3 and you're healing every single time, like it's a lot of percent you are kind of leaking. And there's that down smash. Not gonna kill though, good DI from Phil, but unfortunately, just barely doesn't make it back. I think he might have thought he had a jump and just didn't like try to input it and had nothing there, you know? It happens sometimes. And with Ness, like I don't blame him. Like sometimes Ness, especially with how commanding he can be, he has a really good nair for edge guards. His fair is like obnoxious in a sense with just how big the disjoints are, as well as how fast he can move in the air. And on top of all that, Ness is a little hard to hit. So like, even if you're comfortable being off stage, like if you're trying to do some sort of counter thing, it's hard to do. So hopefully we can see Phil make some sort of adjustments, because I think that between his projectile play and his edge guarding, there's a couple small things that we could see.
Yeah, very true. And funny enough, RP4 asking the same thing, wondering if we're going to get a swap out to Me Brawler in the mix of this, to see if that's how he's going to try to adjust. So yeah, we're going to take a look at that. And while we've got a second, let's go ahead and take a look at the bracket. We didn't get a chance to take a peek, see at that, and the competition that's going down tonight. Dank Link right now taking on Solidus Hedgehog, who had a really great showing last week. I believe he came in 3rd place. Titankiller versus Swag Clue is what you guys are watching up live. And then next up is going to be BW Styles versus J2 Toxic. I'm really interested to see how that matchup is going to go. And then, of course, we've got our number 1 and 2 seeds, Luxray and RP4, getting ready to wait to take on the players from these 2 matches right here. So we got some pretty good matches coming up. I definitely want to still come to match number 4 and 5 in just a second. So yeah, we'll see how both of those go. And yeah, I'm pretty excited for some of the new talent, because once again, I want to see how J2 Toxic kind of fares this week. I want to say, I can't remember if he took a dub last week or not, but I remember watching some pretty good matches between him and then, of course, your buddy Anyone Can Cook. Definitely came on and was a lot of fun, not just in match, but also in match and name as well.
Yeah, so true. And I think that it was very interesting for J2 just because, like, we don't see, like, he was playing some very meta-relevant characters. We saw the Ike and we saw the Snake, both of which are still very meta-relevant characters. Snake is still considered to be a pretty top-tier character, as well as Ike is still considered around that high-tier area. And I think that one thing that you kind of forget about a lot is that certain characters, like, because you know them so well, because you see them whether on stream or whatever, it might be a bit easier to deal with them because they're so well known, despite them being that good, you know? Whereas, like, maybe a lower tier character like Mewtwo that you don't see often may be just something that you are never even played against because so few people play that character. So, like, that's something that people joke about with Wolf, but getting into this match, we're seeing 2 top tiers ourselves. A double switch here. I've never seen Phil play Lucina.
No.
But she isn't a character that, like, on the spot necessarily requires too much, like, thought process. She's your average sword character. No type of, like, tippers, just regular, fully damaging moves at any point. You don't need crazy spacing. And in this matchup, I definitely agree to it. However, I don't know how Phil knew that he would need Lucina versus a Game & Watch. Because This is actually a really decent like matchup for him. Just because he can stay away from Game & Watch's shield, which is kind of like a death trap if you ever touch it. So we have to see if Phil is able to have some decent spacing here. Just because if you're ever within like Game & Watch's shield, like about that length, he's really dangerous. His up B out of shield, his smash attacks, everything are just super quick. I think his up B is like frame 2 out of shield, so it's like really fast. Like it's just an insanely fast move.
Gotcha.
So you have to really, he's a really good defensive character, pretty much is like the gist of what you'd be expecting from Game & Watch. And here we're gonna be seeing a little bit of juggling, kind of just test the wires, see how Phil reacts to the up air that he sent out and that bomb as well. Seeing how Phil is kind of playing passively around it, using his dash deck there and that up B to kind of burst into that bubble that Swag is starting to create here with that shield. Nice wave land to get around the pressure. Using that bomb again and finally catches Phil off guard. Nice use of that from Swag. And we're seeing a lot of use of these platforms from Swag. I like that use. Oh no! Oh, and just to make seal the deal, you got that tech check in with that back air Swag did. Yep. And I think that another thing that we're kind of seeing a lot for people who are like, why is PS2 so like nice? And like, why do people go to it so often? And one of those things is the platform layout makes it so that when you are on a platform, or if you decide to go up onto a platform and use something like a waveland or something to kind of move across, you have like a couple options. Like you can decide to just wait, which is something Swag has been doing a lot of at the beginning of this match, or you can decide to get off on the left or right. And those are so many different options that you may not get on like a Final Destination with no platforms, gotcha. Or even stages like Battlefield where the platforms are much lower. So somebody might be able to just like throw a move out and they'll hit you from below. And with that hit, we're gonna be seeing Swag Flu take that game too.
pretty confident win right there.
Yeah, I would say so. I think that switch to Lucina, regardless of whether he was intending it to be for Ness or Game & Watch, I think it's a good pick. But I think that it was kind of just like a bit of maybe a lack of like passiveness from Phil, because the few times he did get those bursts in, the few times he did wait for the fair, he did very good. He was able to avoid the pressure with the fair as well as the down smashes. But then a bit later on, you kind of saw like some rush, maybe some anxiety coming out from him, and it was just enough to kind of force him into some sticky situations with the down smash and the fair again. So I think that was still a good pick. I think that would be cool to see some more Lucina from Phil in the future.
Right, gotcha. Okay, cool deal. Well, we've got another match getting ready to come up in just a second. We're going to go to